Hi, welcome to Retiring Well. Folks, we got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about risk analysis. What does that look like? Social Security optimization tools that we have to show you when it's best to take it. 2 ways to grow a portfolio. What are those? How much risk can I take on? And finally, income riders as they have to do with insurance products. So stay tuned. We got a great show for you.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory. Financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment, I want to talk about risk. How much risk are you taking on? A lot of people have their portfolio, they might have their mutual funds, but behind those mutual funds are a lot of securities. And a lot of folks want to know, Larry, as I'm positioned today, how did this portfolio do in 2008 when the market dropped a full 57%? How did this portfolio do? How did it do back in 2000 through 2002 when we went through that tech bubble and we went through that bear market? Knowing the answer to that question is very, very important. We actually have the tools to be able to show people what that is. We can take your existing portfolio as it is today, run it through an analysis and show you exactly how it did in 2008, how it did in 2000 through 2002, so you know how much actual risk you're taking. What was that drawdown? If I'm somebody that only wants to take 5-10% risk, I don't want to see it lose anything more than that, and the way I'm positioned today shows that I could lose 50%, is that a concern to me? It might very well be. And so we actually have the tools to be able to show you that. We can look at the bonds you're holding. Maybe you're just in fixed income and you have bonds and you want to know what's the credit qualityness of those bonds. One of the biggest concerns we have today is there's been a lot of corporate debt, and you're taking on a lot more risk if you're in what they call that high yield bond area. Well, how much of your portfolio is made up of that? Would that be a question you'd want to have answered? What about the yield of a portfolio? Now, the yield of a portfolio is actual interest and dividends being earned from the underlying securities. Usually, typically, the greater the yield, the lesser volatility you're going to have. So, knowing what that is very important. If it's only got 1% yield, meaning that's all it's getting in income, where's the other growth going to have to happen? It's going to have to come from the speculative piece. So, getting a risk analysis done, and we can do that for you, give us a call, is very important.
My name is David Mikowski. I'm chairman of Veterans in Crisis. This is our tournament. This is our 3rd annual tournament. I'm a former combat Marine, and I wanted to pay it forward.
Colonel Art Forster, U.S. Air Force retired. What a pleasure it is to be out here in Lickenheath today to play for such a worthy cause, Veterans in Crisis.
It's an honor to be here as a Marine Corps veteran. I served from 1996 to 2001 as a Marine Embassy Guard. Veterans in Crisis has done so much for the local community here, and we're proud to be a part of it.
I'm here with my Honor Bank team, golfing for Veterans for Crisis organization. I'm a fellow veteran myself, 6 years Army, 5 years Navy. So anything we can do to help out the veterans, we know they're in need and they did a great service for this country.
I'm honored to be one of the founding board members of Veterans in Crisis that is putting on this event. Veterans in Crisis, we are literally impacting vets at the grassroots, one by one, right here in northern Michigan. Thank you to Centennial for sponsoring this whole and being a proud sponsor of Veterans in Crisis. We appreciate your commitment to helping veterans here in northern Michigan.
My dad was in the Army, injured on Normandy Beach, and he went through 5 campaigns. I made it back home. My brother went to NAM. It goes without saying to me that without these guys, we wouldn't be here playing golf, okay? We wouldn't be living the life we live.
I'm one of the founding members of Veterans in Crisis. It is an entirely volunteer organization. But I wanted to get involved in something worthwhile, and I can't think of anything more worthwhile than serving our veterans.
I'm Bob Baldwin. I'm from Lake Leelanau, Michigan. I served in the U.S. Army from 67 to 69, did a tour of duty in Vietnam, 1968, 1969 with the 9th Infantry Division. I want to thank the organization that put this outing together. I know it's the 3rd year, and congratulations to well-deserved turnout, and hope all the proceeds will help some of our fellow veterans.
You know, I myself am a veteran. I served in the Army National Guard in the early 80s, but I have a great deal of respect for those that were in the service and actually had to fight. I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to, you know, get sent off. I put my time in, but a huge amount of respect for those that have, and a huge amount of respect for those that didn't come home.
There's a tsunami on the horizon with veterans that are in crisis, and it starts with veterans who have been now involved in a 20-year war, and preceding that we had a 17-year war with Vietnam. So now we're up on the precipice of a lot of those veterans that are retired coming home, wanting to settle in, and they have issues. They have either PTSD or they're Agent Orange or some other kind of malady.
I heard a statistic not long ago that said that there was more veterans committing suicide from coming from Afghanistan than those that actually fought and died in Afghanistan. That's sad. To me, that just breaks my heart. You know, we need to be taking care of our veterans. You know, we love our country. These are men that are putting their lives on the line for our country. When they come home, they deserve our support.
98% of the proceeds that'll go directly to a veteran.
A lot of the veterans have issues getting quick service from a wonderful organization, a VA, but they're not the fastest response team. We have responded as quickly as 24 hours to help a veteran with a hot water heater or dental work or legal work even.
We heard about Veterans in Crisis that was serving local veterans, and we said, you know what, this is right in our own backyard. Let's sponsor them this year. So we're very proud to do that. Today, this is a golf event. It's called a scramble, so you know everybody's out, you know, playing golf and hopefully enjoying themselves. And the beauty here is just amazing, and they got a great day to boot.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's played in this tournament today, the giving of their time, our sponsors, Lock and Heath, who we are going to have a long-term contract with, and certainly I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Centennial Wealth. They're our title sponsor, and we've got a multi-year agreement with them, and I'm just so blessed to have the opportunity to live in such a community like this with so many giving individuals and people who want to give back. It's a very humbling thing.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, in this segment, I want to talk to you about Social Security and how to optimize it or maximize it for your benefit. Now, believe it or not, we actually have tools that can do this for us. If we know how much your income is going to be in Social Security at full retirement age, okay, we know what your age is, and most importantly, and you're going to find this humorous, we know when you're going to die. We can actually tell you the best strategy to take for Social Security and when to take it. Okay, now this tends to be a big question we get asked a lot. You know, most people know they can take it early at 62. Okay, they know they can wait till age 70, or they can pick anything in between, right? And they know the benefit is going to be double if they wait to age 70 from 62. But what is their circumstances warrant? Are they better to take it early or wait? Well, again, based on these tools, we can dig in and we can actually show them the best strategy. But I want you to understand one thing. They have to tell us when they're going to die. Unfortunately, most people can't tell us when that's going to be. So trying to choose a time at which they think it might be gets to be a conversation in itself. Many people will go to their family history. Well, my mom and dad, they lived to such and such age, so maybe that's probably it for me. I can tell you that as a general rule, they say that's maybe 1/3 of the case. You really 2/3 is your own lifestyle. You know, if your parents were smokers or drinkers and you're not, and you play and exercise is a big part of your daily life, then maybe your longevity is going to be a lot more. But knowing when that is a huge, huge deal. So if we have what your income's supposed to be, we know approximately how long you think you might have to live, then we can give you the best strategy. And knowing that's very important. Now, there's some other factors that play a role in this too. You know, am I still working? Okay. Yes, if I wait and take Social Security and I'm not working, you know, how am I going to bridge the gap? Where am I going to take income while I'm waiting to take Social Security? Because you have to understand, if I'm not working, I'm waiting to take Social Security, then where's my income going to come from? It's going to have to come from my savings. And you don't want to dwindle that down to what we would call critical levels. Now, there's a lot of other things that come into play with Social Security. Used to be the ability to file, take half your spouse's benefit while you let your own grow. They called that a file and restrict. That's been limited now depending on what your age is. If anything, folks, know that if it's getting time close for you to take Social Security and you want to understand what the benefit might be best for you to take it at, then give us a call. Again, no cost, no obligation to sit down to run it through these optimization tools we have and see what best fits for you.
Great information from Larry there, especially when we're talking about risk, and it's such a hot button topic when you, especially as you're getting close to or into retirement, and it surprises me, Art, so often when we're sitting down with folks just like you and going to analyze your portfolio to see sort of where you are currently, and a lot of times we hear, you know, oh, we maybe want to be more of a conservative risk structure, and then we're able to run that analysis, which again is something that Centennial Wealth offers for free, where we can sit down and analyze your portfolio to determine what sort of risk you're taking on. We can go back over the past couple of decades and sort of see, hey, during that market drop of 2000, 2001, 2002, how did your portfolio react? What about 2008 when the market pretty much dropped in half? What did we see here more recently in 2020? And so those are areas that it surprises me how often are when we're looking at this and people think, well, I'm not taking a lot of risk, but when we look at their portfolio, how much risk they're actually taking.
Absolutely, John. You know, and it scares me in times where the market's really well, people kind of forget about risk, right? You know, they don't think about the downside because, you know, maybe every month their statements are going up. But then when those markets turn, then all of a sudden they are surprised that they could lose 10, 20, 30%. And I hope that's not you out there. It's really good to know what you have. Mm-hmm. You know, we've yet to find that one investment yet that always goes up and there's no risk. And so there's usually risk involved with various types of investments. And knowing that risk is really important because I think most people, when they know what their outcomes can be, both good and bad, tend to feel more comfortable like that. And John, I mean, I know we talked to, you know, primarily people leading up to retirement or in retirement. And like you said earlier, it seems to be a lot of those people don't want to be fly-by-night gamblers at that point in their life, right?
Right, for sure. And another area too that as you're approaching retirement to really be focusing in on is Social Security. It's a big figure when it comes to what that asset really is. I mean, it's an income stream, but we're also looking at it as a lifetime income stream. So especially in a case, Art, where maybe it's a married couple and we're looking at when to start, you know, one, maybe postpone another, right?
Right. Absolutely, John. You know, there's so many factors out there. One, you know, like Larry joked about there, you know, if you can tell us how long you're going to live, makes it really easy. But also Social Security is more. There's other assets involved, taxes, other streams of income, all these various things that come in to maybe when you should take that. So why not give us a call? Let us take a look at that. Let us walk through those scenarios and see if we can help you plan that Social Security so you can plan to retire well.
If you're retired or soon to be retired, let us help you plan to retire well. Centennial Wealth Advisory specializes in retirement planning and has offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. We'll never pressure anyone to become a client. Our goal is to inform and educate. Simply schedule a meeting at one of our Northern Michigan office locations for a free, no-obligation retirement review.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, I want to talk to you about the two ways that you can grow a portfolio. Now, one way to grow a portfolio is through what they call yield. Yield in a portfolio is actual interest and dividends being earned on the underlying securities. If I'm a stock, I'm paying a dividend. That's yield. If I'm a bond, I'm paying interest. That's yield. Yield is the actual income. Liken it to a rental house where you're receiving rent income. Okay? Now, the second way to grow a portfolio is through appreciation. Okay, that's the idea that you're going to be able to buy a security at one price and hopefully is going to grow to be at another price, and you're going to be able to lock in that gain and sell it off for that gain. Okay, that's the second way you grow. Liken that back again to the rental house where you have a house and it's growing in appreciation. Now, what's important to understand is between yield and appreciation is that usually more volatility is associated with the speculative piece. So as you look at your portfolio, very important to understand how much yield you're getting, because the lower the yield, the more you're relying on speculation, the more volatility you're most likely going to have. We have the tools to be able to dive into your portfolio and tell you exactly what your yield is. So I encourage you, give us a call. No cost, no obligation to look at that for you. Welcome back. Now listen, in this segment, I want to talk to you about risk. Most importantly, how much risk can you take on? Now I just want to emphasize can, C-A-N. C stands for your capacity to take risk on. Okay, now this is where most of us advisors go initially. All right, we want to have some test by which we can determine how much risk we believe you can take on. Some like to use the rule of 100. You know, where they take 100 minus your age, and that shows how much risk you should be on. Okay, so if I'm 65 years old, maybe I at that point should only have 35% of my portfolio at risk. Okay, we might look at your net worth. The idea that the more you have, the more you can lose. Okay, there's all these things that we look at in determining your capacity to take on risk. But what is also important is, again, going back to that CAN, is A, your attitude towards risk. This would be your personal feelings. Now, you know, this is vitally important because I, as an advisor, might determine your risk to be one thing, but your personal feelings might be completely different. You know, what if I am that person that says the more you have, the more you can lose, and I determine you should be able to have much at risk, but you're somebody that's saved for quite some time and you don't want to risk or lose anything. Well, wouldn't I need to know that? So your attitude about risk is very, very important. Now, another place we might go, going back again to that CAN, is N, your need to take on risk. All right, now this kind of comes together when we do income planning. Okay, we're trying to take your assets, how much you want for income. We look for guaranteed sources of income, like maybe Social Security or pension, and then we determine by how much you're going to have to pull out from that portfolio to make up that difference. Okay, well, when we have to put that together in an income plan, what we're really doing is trying to see, will your assets outlive you? Because the last thing you want to do is run out of money before you pass away, right? And it would be nice if you could leave some behind. Now, what if we do that income planning and your need to take on risk is, let's say we have a growth rate of maybe only 3%, and we find that that portfolio or that money is going to outlive you. Well, then we need to ask the next question. If all we need is 3% growth, why are we taking on more risk than we need to? Very, very important. Now, all these factors are going to be important in determining risk, but I would dare say your personal feelings would have to be the most important. So if you're somebody that wants to make sure you're set up appropriately, that your risk and how you feel about it is set up appropriately with your investments, then I encourage you to give us a call.
Well, thanks, Larry, for a couple great episodes for you out there watching today. You know, income and risk, you know, two things that are vital for any retirement portfolio. And you know, John, we talk to people primarily nearing or in retirement, and obviously income is their lifestyle. Those are, you know, while you're working, that allows you to do the day-to-day things you want to do. Well, in retirement, how do you generate that? You know, interest rates are basically at the floor. I mean, almost all-time lows in most cases. So, John, I don't know, how many times do we hear almost weekly, oh, I remember the days when my CD used to pay 5, 6, 7%. Well, guess what? I think industry averages it's less than 1% now for a 5-year CD. So how do we generate those? You know, there's dividend paying stocks, there's all these other ways, but guess what? A lot of that stuff comes with risk. And John, just as you know, Larry talked about with the CAN acronym, is that somebody okay with that risk?
Right, and again, coming back to that, your capacity, your attitude, your need for risk, and so often when we're talking through that, it comes back, quite honestly, with risk to that gut instinct where you're looking at the numbers and sort of seeing, hey, let's say you have $500,000 saved for retirement in any given year. What is that maximum we call uncle point where you say enough's enough? And as soon as you start using dollars and you say, well, what if that was $50,000, all of a sudden that sort of lights up people's eyes, but you know, that's a 10% drop. Now we've seen much greater than that here just recently, and so that's where you want to be paying attention to it. And if, again, married couples, you might have one that says, hey, I'm comfortable with this much risk, and another that says, I don't want to take any risk. So again, it comes back to making sure that your portfolio matches up with your attitude.
And that's absolutely right, John. You know, if you're sitting out there today and you don't have an income plan, you don't know where your income is going to come from in retirement, and you're 10 or less years away or in retirement. Also, if you don't know what that risk of your portfolio is and haven't talked to your advisor about your attitude toward risk, and especially that need, give us a call. Free second opinion here, no obligations. We can do visits by phone, webinars based, or in person, whatever works best for you. Thanks for watching Retiring Well. Stay with us. Coming up, we have an interesting segment talking about income riders on annuities.
Hi, my name is Larry Flynn. I'm a financial advisor, senior partner here at Centennial Wealth Advisory. Listen, with this coronavirus, it created unprecedented times. High unemployment, you got a lot of businesses not reopening. Whether there comes a treatment or a vaccine for this disease, we don't know. There's just a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty. But your financial well-being is still very important. And if you're in retirement or near retirement, then getting some good, sound financial advice is going to be critical. So in these unprecedented times, we're understanding that safety is a concern, and so we're offering a couple options. If you're willing to talk by phone or want to do a virtual meeting, whether that be Zoom or something like that, we're offering that ability to do that. If you're somebody that does want to meet in person, we're trying to accommodate that as well. We're saying, you know, we're not going to have any 2 clients meet at once. We're sanitizing it before and after you're here, and we're keeping the proper social distancing in place while we meet. So if these are a couple options you might want to pursue, we encourage you to just give us a call on the number that's on the screen, or visit our website at cen-wealth.com, and just basically you can set up a meeting there. Stay safe. If you have some financial concerns and need to address those, then certainly give us a call. Welcome. Now in this segment, what I want to talk about is what we call income riders. Now, folks, these are things associated with insurance products, okay? The two I want to talk about today are what are called variable annuities and fixed index annuities. Now, these can be very complicated financial instruments, but I'm just going to try to touch on some basic things that you need to understand when you're looking at these kind of financial instruments. A lot of you have these out there and you don't even know what you have. So let me kind of walk through how to kind of look at these. First of all, you have what's called variable annuities, all right? Now, these are, again, insurance products, but they'll typically have 2 sides to the investment. First of all, they'll have an account value side. Now, on the account value side, it's just like any kind of an investment account. There's investments within it, and it can grow if markets are cooperating, or it can go down if not. Now, they look similar to mutual funds, but they call them sub-accounts. And again, you have to understand that the account value can go down if the markets don't cooperate. Now, they have another side to them called a guaranteed withdrawal income benefit. Now, this is where you hear the word guarantee, but you got to be careful, because any kind of a guarantee when it comes or associated with an insurance company is only backed by the full faith credit ability of that insurance company. So you got to be very careful. But what the insurance company is going to give you is some kind of guaranteed growth, or some growth that gets ratcheted up or reset every time the market cooperates and then can't go down. So a lot of people will think, oh, I got something that's guaranteed. That's very true as it relates to the income, okay? Because at some future date, whatever this amount is, you can trigger a lifetime income that's guaranteed, but it doesn't mean that the account value can go down. I see a lot of people that got these variable annuities with the account value down here because it took market risk, this guaranteed income benefit that might be here, but that's the only way they're going to get any benefit is if they trigger it that way. Now you have also what's called fixed index annuities, a little bit different. They also have two sides similar to the variable annuity, but on this side it's an account value usually tied to some kind of an index that can't go down in value but only go up based on how much participation they're going to give you or whether they put a cap on it or not. But it's an instrument that can go up but can't go down. But it also has a guaranteed withdrawal income benefit that can grow guaranteed as it does with a variable annuity. Now they're all different, all right, but you have to understand the differences between these. Now the other thing you have to understand is that to have this guaranteed withdrawal income benefit, many of them are going to charge a fee to this side. And knowing what those fees are is very, very important. The other negative with these kind of financial instruments is the insurance company is going to require you to be connected or obligated to it for some period of time. Very similar to like a long-term CD or such. Otherwise, there's some penalties associated with it. So hopefully this gives you just a little basic understanding of them. If you have one of these financial instruments and you really want to know what you have, then give us a call.
What a great topic here that Larry's brought up with income riders on annuities. Remember, annuities are insurance products, so it's a little bit different than a lot of the stuff we talk about, but really something that may be something you should be looking at if you're nearing or in retirement. John, I just sat down with a couple here in the Traverse City office, and he literally retired in October of 2020 here, and he wanted some income. Now, we look at various options that you can get that. How is a portfolio going to generate? And I showed him how an income rider on annuity may be a fit for him, and how it could guarantee some income over him and his wife's lifetime, and what that looked like. And so when we walked through that income planning process, we had kind of your traditional portfolio where we had more traditional investments, and then traditional investments paired with an income rider annuity. And it was interesting. He had never thought about that process, never even looked down that road. And so we walked through that, educated him on the advantages and disadvantages of that, because as we know, nothing's perfect. And John, it was just interesting to see his reaction to learning about a different investment.
Sure, and that can be the case a lot of times when people come from an environment where maybe they do have a pension or they have that set income stream or have a desire for that in their retirement plan. But one of the things I will point out, I've been in the industry for 15 years and I've seen a wide variety of these different types of accounts, and there are a lot out there, and there's some that quite honestly we wouldn't have any interest in working with, but there's some that would make sense depending on your particular situation and what you're trying to accomplish. So again, as you're evaluating your retirement plans, we offer a no cost, no obligation, sit down free review. We'd love that opportunity to sit down with you and help you plan to retire well. Thanks again for tuning in.